Good afternoon, Eminence, Excellencies, dear members and dear friends. Good afternoon and welcome to this international conference in web form, dedicated to how to concretely achieve an economy with a human face, inspired by integral ecology as put forward by Pope Francis in the encyclical Laudato Si. But first of all, a prayer before starting. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among all women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners, now and the hour of our death. Amen. Well, this is the second year that Centesimus Annus is dealing with this encyclical, which has proved prophetical in the time of a coronavirus pandemic. 5 years ago, the Holy Father in Laudato Si reminded us of the urgent need for a change of course and invited us to work to remedy to the many distortions we were experiencing. The squandering of non-renewable resources, the reduction of biodiversity, the climate changes that impact above all on the poor, the water and food crisis, the increase in economic gaps and the social inequalities, the spread of the throwaway culture which discards people and things.
Der Lautsprecher ist zu.
Over these 5 years, these inequalities have not disappeared. They are still present because improvement have been very slow, uneven, and fluctuating. So much so that the Holy Father and in the general audience of the 26th of August last stated, and I quote, "In today's world, a few wealthy people possess more than the rest of humanity. This is pure statistics," says the Pope. "This is an injustice that cries out to heaven. At the same time, this economic model is indifferent to the damage inflicted on our common home. We are close to exceeding many of the limits of our wonderful planet, with the serious and irreversible consequences, from the loss of biodiversity and climate change to rising sea levels and the destructions of tropical forests. Social inequality and environmental degradations go together and have the same root, wanting to possess and wanting to dominate one or others over one's brothers and sisters, wanting to possess and dominate nature and God himself. The invitation addressed to us by the Holy Father is to change behavior, goals, strategies, to change everything in order to concretely pursue a new world inspired by integral ecology. This is such a complex goal that we decided to continue our reflection this year too, with a particular focus on what changes must be made in governance, production, consumer, and educational models to achieve and accelerate the transition towards a model of fairer, more just, more supportive, more sustainable, and environmentally friendly development. Thinking about how to create a new model of such economic progress is particularly pertinent in the present time, in which we are all called to rebuild a health, economic, and the social situation devastated by the pandemic. As Pope Francis said in the above-mentioned general audience, and I quote, "The pandemic has enlightened and exacerbated social problems, especially inequality. These symptoms of inequality reveal a social disease. This is the virus that comes from a sick economy, and we must say it clearly. The economy is sick. It has become ill." Shocking words, perhaps difficult to fully understand, but which remind us of our responsibilities as politicians, rulers, representatives of institutions, entrepreneurs, executives, professionals, academics, and individuals. The epoch-making change that the Church demands to all of us is based on a different concept of development, not the one that is still prevalent today, which makes development coincide with only economic growth, but an integral human development. This was clearly stated 53 years ago by St. Paul VI in the Encyclica Populorum Progressio. He said, development cannot be restricted to simply economic growth alone. To be authentic, it must be well-rounded, which means aimed at fostering the development of each person and the whole person. It is a concept strongly proposed by Pope Francis in Laudato Si, and in his subsequent intervention, including the recent encyclica, Brothers All. The Holy Father stresses the urgent need for changes and invites everyone to work together to achieve a global movement capable of changing things with courage and creativity, and of leaving a better world for the young people for whom we are responsible. In his message to the European House Ambrosetti Forum, held in Cernobbio, 4th and 5th September this year, Pope Francis reminds us that, and I quote, this conversion and creativity necessarily imply training and encouraging the next generation of economists and entrepreneurs to put themselves at the service of the community and the creation of a culture of encounter. We must recognize that the last 2-3 years have seen some positive sign that the pandemic has accelerated, growing attention to economic, social, and environmental sustainability, and a certain timid evolution towards sustainable capitalism. We already talked about this last year. The effects are not yet relevant. We do not know if we are really experiencing a global and a transversal movement aimed at the structural and permanent reduction of inequalities, exclusions, and environmental degradation. But they are an important positive sign. The central theme of sustainability that underlines everything is the creation of value. What value? For whom? How it is achieved? The Catholic social doctrine invites us to consider the company as a community of people working for a common goal that cannot only be the creation of value in the form of a profit for shareholders, but the creation of value for all those who in some way contribute to the success of the company itself, and therefore to the creation of well-being of employees, suppliers, customers, and the territory in which the company operates. The concept that emerged from the Catholic social doctrine is that a company that feels responsible for the consequences of its work on an economic, social, and environmental level. The good business, and this was very well said by Pope Francis in Genoa, does not impose high human and environmental costs on the community, and in doing so, also maximize the value for shareholders in the long term. So, the business model that we are discussing and that are put forward by the Catholic social doctrine are those that aim to achieve balanced, long-lasting, and sustainable development, combining efficiency and responsibility, profit and collective well-being with respect for nature and man. In this way, the company becomes a place of civil coexistence and social solidarity, a place where everybody, everyone gives and receives. This business concept obviously has a great impact on strategies, production models, the role of leaders, and the entire internal organization. Today, many recognize that the transition to a new development model and a new way of envisaging and doing business is indispensable. But we must consider that the transition has a cost. Therefore, it is necessary to manage the transition so as not to aggravate social and economic imbalances. Because it is complex, the transition must be fair, methodical, and shared, as many observers maintain. More cooperation is needed between institutions and public and private sectors. The European Union has decided to allocate 40 billion euro to the just transition. At today's conference, there are speakers of great competence and experience who will testify what the central bank, what the European Union, the International Monetary Fund, and the large company are doing to pursue a sustainable solidarity and green economy. I wanted to thank François Villeroy de Galhau, Governor of the Bank of France, Maria Gabriel, European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Gian Maria Milesi Ferretti, Deputy Director of the Research Department of International Monetary Fund, and Claudio Descalzi, ENI CEO, for agreeing to bring their testimonies to our international conference. Especially thank for His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin for honoring us with his opening address. And an affectionate thanks to my friend Dun Elm for agreeing to moderate the session. I am sure that practical indication will emerge from the various interventions on what to do to change the goals and the rules of the games. We would thus make our contributions to the Holy Father, who on 15th October 2020, last week, in the video message addressed on occasion of the meeting Global Compact on Education, Together to Look Behind, asked everyone, and I quote, to commit themselves to finding other ways of understanding the economy, politics and progress in order to be at the service of the human family and the perspective of an integral ecology. Thank you. And now I give the floor to the Secretary General of the Foundation, Eutimio Tiliakos.